Hey everyone. Hi. Thanks for tuning in. So it's Saturday morning and I am here once again by myself doing building bridges, which isn't really building bridges when I'm alone. The Saturday morning slot is really weird for scheduling people because most people, people on, in other time zones and all over the world sometimes can make this work, but for almost universally, this is a weekend. So this is a weird day to come on and do a stream with someone. So because consistency is key for generating long-term, generating views, I want to try and be consistent. So I had some ideas about things that we can do, things that I can do for the program that can be the same every week. On Saturday mornings, I do this, and on Wednesday evenings, I do the interview thing. So I wanted to discuss with you guys, the people who watch this show right now, what you think about what I should do. So I have some ideas. I'm open to whatever ideas other people may have as well. So if there's something that you guys would like to see that I haven't mentioned, feel free to leave it in the comments. If you're not watching live, leave in the actual comments. Also, please subscribe, and hit that bell if you want to, so that the algorithm knows that this is programming that you enjoy watching and that you want to see more of it. It's actually really important. So it's lame to have to tell you guys, but please hit the like and subscribe. That would be amazing. Thank you. Not keep looking down and maintain eye contact with the person I'm talking with. Well, so here's the thing is so when I'm looking right now, I'm looking at the camera and it probably looks like I'm making eye contact with you. So when I look down at my screen, I'm actually looking at the person who's talking and not at the camera, or I'm looking at the person who I'm talking to and not at the camera. Here, I'm going to look down at the screen to show you what it looks like when I would look where the person would be who I'm interviewing. So this is what it would look like if I was looking at the person. I'm looking at my screen. If I'm looking at my camera, then I'm not looking at the person who I'm interviewing. And that's really difficult for me because a lot of the way that I ask questions has to do with my read of the person who I'm talking to's body language. But thank you. Yeah, it is something that has come up before. It's really it's impossible for me to do that because it would change I would have to have the questions all preset and then not change them based on how the person's response was at all, which seems just really unnatural. I don't know, maybe it is something that I'll have to overcome at some point, but that's why I look at the screen, is to look at the person who I'm talking to. And then also to look at your comments, because right now I'm looking at the comments. Think I'm looking at notes too sometimes. Yeah, when I look down at my lap, that definitely is because I'm looking at notes. Yeah, it's because I'm looking at where I want to go next in the questioning and what I've already covered. So yeah, that's what's going on there. I'll work on it. Thank you for the suggestion. More ideas that I was thinking of was stuff for the actual content of the show. So I had a couple of ideas. I Discourse Syndicate from its at its inception, it was all Hex all the time. That was all anybody discussed. And then of course with Pulse launching, that started to change with the introduction of with me joining Discourse Syndicate Network, that changed too, because I was always talking to people from different projects and products and, stuff from around the ecosystem. So some of the ideas that I had for ways that I could cover things differently, solely on Saturday mornings. One idea would be to cover basic crypto news, outside of the Pulse Hex ecosystem, I hate that word, ecosystem. It's so gimmicky and like marketing, and like you just know that the person who's saying it doesn't know what they're talking about. But so one idea was for me to cover stuff that isn't maybe necessarily right on the front of your radar, because a lot of people do choose to only discuss or only learn, only follow people on Twitter and socials that are following the exact same things. So if that's something that you think will be valuable, then I'll do that. Another potential idea would be to only talk to founders and teams and communities that are actively planning to, and then eventually are building on Pulse, to like get you introduced to some of the new products or projects that are coming. But if I were going to do that, it would 100% be that like I was coming at it as never recommending anything. It would be like, we're going to talk to everyone. We're going to give everyone an equal opportunity. Everyone who wants to have this, this exposure and this community kind of thing, community dialogue could come on, and it wouldn't be like, I don't know, some of the programs that maybe do that. But I don't know. I would really need to know what your guys' thoughts are. And then also, if I were going to do that, I would want to do it as like kind of a standardized questions, where maybe I come up with a couple questions unique to those products or projects each week, but also that there were, 5 or 6 standard questions that we asked to everyone, so that it doesn't feel like an attack, and so that it feels like everything is like it's fair. So those are my ideas. Let me know what you guys think about any of that. Yeah, looking at the notes. There's no way that I can not look at the notes though. Like I can't have every single thing memorized. I need to know, especially when I have 15 questions written down. I mean, I have an idea of where they're all going because I wrote all of those questions myself, but I do need to look at them sometimes so that I know where I'm going. Maybe get some of these senators trying to shut crypto down on. Yeah, totally. I'm of course down for that. Actually, when I had Brock on Wednesday, that was one of the questions that I asked him, was like, how do you reach out and establish contact with these regulators, so that we can have discussions, so that they can potentially look into products that are already launched or projects that are launching, and all of this stuff. It is very, very difficult to get those people, like even contact often, but then even more difficult to get them to commit to like coming onto a live stream in advance as like government officials. I'm not against it. I'm for it 100%. If I can get participants, I'll do it. That sounds great. I'll work on it. Definitely branching outside of the small community of people who are already involved in this discussion is necessary for growth, and something that I'm looking into in several avenues. Oh, something that I really wanted to talk to you guys about is after my stream on Wednesday, several people reached out to me and asked me if I could put them in contact with Brock Pierce. So for various reasons. There's one person who reached out to me who's, I don't know, plea isn't the right word, but whose pitch like really seems like it needs to go to the front of the line because it's very, very, very time sensitive and important. And I can't really say very much more. That person took precedence, and I recommended that person be put in touch with Brock, and potentially I'm willing to put more of you in touch with him, but just slowly. We have to ease him into the Hexican circles, okay? Let's see, what else? Oh, on Wednesday at the normal time, which I think is 7 p.m. Pacific, I'm having Kurt Warkert Jr. on the show again. He's the BSV advocate who bills himself as Bitcoin's chief historian. So the last time he came on the show, we mostly talked about relationships between communities, and we didn't really get into Bitcoin history. And I think that that's a really fascinating subject, and it can be interpreted in multiple ways. So I'm looking forward to welcoming Kurt back onto the stream. So that's what's going on Wednesday. If you are, don't usually tune in, and that sounds like something you'd be interested in, then please come join us then. Let's see. What else is going on that I think is interesting? So yesterday, Eric Wall had a conversation with Dev Kyle, and that will be published shortly, hopefully, today or tomorrow, like within the next couple of days for sure. I've got to listen to some of that conversation, and it's really, really interesting, actually. I mean, I'm about an hour in, and I haven't been bored at all. It's been really like them making points back and forth and not fighting. It's 3.5 hours long in total. So we're hoping to find some places to cut. And of course there will be clips. It's audio only. I can't wait for more of you to listen to it and get your feedback on all of that. So yeah, does anybody have more suggestions for topics that I could potentially broach on Saturday morning's show instead of relying on a guest? Not to say that there never will be a guest, but just just alternate ideas for things that I can do to provide value for viewers when there's nobody here for me to talk to. Anything you've got, really, I'm open. Yeah. What else? You guys know Pulse sacrifice phase is over. Do I have the link? No, so it's not published yet. It will be published within the next couple of days. So Pulse sacrifice phase is over. Some people outside of the community have been asking me lately, when is TGE? When will we get the tokens? And that answer is you'll get the tokens at the launch. So when exactly that's going to be is unclear. I think I saw someone say that the estimate was 60 to 90 days, or maybe it was 30 to 90 days. And then they said maybe it will be like a maximum of 180 days then, because of the ways that delays have typically happened in the past. And I'm not sure. I know that we will get the tokens when the platform's mainnet launches, which will be after the testnet launches, so that some developers can, get an idea of what the platform is going to be like, what operating on Pulse Chain is going to be like, and then they can decide whether they want to build or not and have some time to experiment before, actually launching on mainnet. So it's going to be a little while. I would say I'm not expecting anything until October at the earliest, but I could be wrong. What is my end of year Hex price call? I have no idea. There are so many factors that are outside of, my control and my, ability to know about. So one of those factors is to what degree Hex and Pulse get covered by media in a way that they weren't covered, in the way that Hex hasn't really gotten fair coverage so far. So at any time, it's possible that something could change. We've seen changes in attitudes about Hex over the last several months. And so I would anticipate that those changes continue to happen, but to what degree, and to what degree will there be positive media coverage? I can't predict those elements. Am I strictly Hex Pulse, or am I willing to discuss other projects less known? Totally, I'm willing to discuss other projects. That's why I said one potential idea would be having project founders, communities, teams on to discuss building on Pulse, why they're building on Pulse, and what it is that they're building. on Pulse or on interchain protocols. So I'm totally open to that. I can't like say that I know everything about all of these projects without having had at least like a little bit. You can ask me about anything and I'll discuss it, of course. So if there's something that you want to discuss specifically, then I'll tell you what I know about it or whether I know anything about it or not. And then we can have a discussion. It'd be best, if we're going to like have specific topics or tokens or whatever represented, that I have, a couple of days in advance so that I can familiarize myself a little bit. But I'm willing to do it on the fly too, if you want. I said AMA, so you can ask me whatever you want. What else, guys? No suggestions? No ideas? What about the 2 ideas that I proposed? Do you like either of them? Do you like a blend of both of them? Let me know in the comments. Also, smash the likes. Hit subscribe if you're not. I think I need to bring women with crypto background on my show. Yeah, so Mel Vitoni, that's something that it's actually like more difficult to do than you would probably think. So I'm open to bringing women with crypto backgrounds onto the show. I have brought women on this show before. I'll be happy to bring women on the show again, but even women who are in crypto often don't have crypto backgrounds. Like when you say crypto background, I mean, not to say that there aren't women there, because there certainly are, but they're generally like few and far, but much fewer and much further between. So limiting when I would bring, like, limiting my show to only women with crypto backgrounds would be to completely handicap this show and ensure that I was alone 90% of the time. So, yeah. But I'm open to it, of course. BP, hi, I'm from Tokyo. Any news on when the snapshot is happening? Okay, so same thing as like when TGE is, when mainnet launches. So the snapshot can't happen until after testnet happens. So first testnet needs to launch. Then developers need to have some time to be able to experiment with the platform. And after that, but before the mainnet launches, that's when the snapshot will be. There's no definitive time on exactly when that's going to be yet. So stay tuned. This is the thing, is that like anytime, like it's kind of like participating in a pre-sale or something where like you don't know when your tokens are going to be available. So that's kind of the thing about potentially getting in on something really early, is that it does carry that added risk of illiquidity. It's a trade-off. I'm worried that hexagons might be too tribal to be cool with non-hex stuff being built on Pulse. Yeah, that's a concern that I've seen voiced a lot on Twitter and on other social platforms. I agree. I completely agree. I think that having discussions about it, though, is useful and productive, and that things are starting to change both outside of the Hex community in terms of like their views of Hex and Pulse, but also within the Hex community in terms of their openness to hearing about anything other than Hex or Pulse. So I think you're right. There are going to be some issues there, but we're having open discussions about it now. And that will hopefully impact the future in a positive way. That's all we can do, is be the example and do the thing that you want to see other people doing. We need to realize that we have our own blockchain now. Yeah, that's true. I think smart hexagons will welcome new stuff on Pulse. Yeah, you're right. So people who realize that it's not going to matter. So there's a lot of people who are going to say like, 99% of everything that's built on Pulse is going to be a scam. And if we go by the example or end up a scam, or end up costing people Hex, or end up costing people Pulse, or end up costing people Bitcoin, whatever. But that if we keep the mindset that like we don't have to necessarily endorse a product fully or a project fully to be able to talk about it. And so there is this idea within cryptocurrency, within a lot of crypto media, that you are responsible for what your viewers do with information that they glean because of your stream. So like if I were to have a known scammer onto this show, then I would have given that person airtime and exposed a bunch of people who may or may not be smart enough to make their own financial decisions to potentially buy that token or coin. I see it very differently. Like, I think that that's an inherent flaw in cryptocurrency, especially because this is an industry that we say is about people making their own decisions, people doing their own research. So I think that it's a really big problem when people try to take on responsibility for other people's financial decisions, particularly within cryptocurrency. That's why I think that the dialogue needs to be 100% completely open if we're going to do it. So it's like, it applies to everyone. It applies to and no exclusions, no saying, oh no, that's a known scam, because that's what happened with Hex and Bitcoin, Ethereum. Yeah, we need to encourage security and auditing. Yeah, but we can't force it. This is the thing, is that like it's a permissionless blockchain, so anyone can build, and it doesn't matter if they've had security, it doesn't matter if they have audits, or if they have a multi-sig. It's all about there being a free place for them to build, and then I don't know. Yeah, I like the idea of me speaking to Pulse projects. Yeah, so I think that. But I want to make sure that it's very well known that I'm not like speaking to projects because I'm trying to hype their token, because it's really just speaking to projects that are potentially building on Pulse evenly. So yeah, that's my thing. Oh, and suggestions for questions that I might ask them if we were going to standardize that process, so that it feels fair. Not to say that like I will always come up with a couple of unique questions that are for the person or for the project, but and so that they don't always know that they're going to be asked the same 5 scripted questions no matter what. But I think that having a few standardized questions would be helpful, because then it would demonstrate overall fairness and not nitpicking and selecting certain things to problematize or herald. Yeah, that's why Hex is so good. To my knowledge, it's the only major crypto that is upfront about price volatility. Yeah, for sure. I agree with you, Hexy bastard. It's funny to say. Yeah, I agree with you completely that it's really important that that Hex is like very transparent about everything, where a lot of projects are really secretive, and it's really funny that kind of transparency has earned it like a demonized it to many. It's interesting. Yeah, how the whole next couple of years is going to play out is going to be really interesting. Whether more people will at some point admit that they were wrong, or like fight it all the way to, in the way that some people fight about their favorite coins and tokens now. Like, I don't know. We're going to find out. So like, can you let people know you're taking questions from Twitch? There are 40 people chatting on YouTube. I think I'm taking questions from YouTube. I'm taking questions from everywhere that I see them come up in the feed. So yeah, I'm taking questions from Twitch. I'm taking questions from YouTube as well. Do I know if we get a copy of the ERC20 coins that are locked up in TrustSwap? I'm not really familiar with TrustSwap, but if it uses your MetaMask wallet and you're in custody of your keys, then you will get those if you're in custody of those keys on the day of the snapshot. So not necessarily right now, but at some point before the snapshot, you've moved the keys. I'm not sure about like if TrustSwap works like Uniswap, then that should work. I'll find out for sure. But that, yeah. Discourse Syndicate. When did I get into crypto? In 2016. So yeah, I got in shortly after the DAO the DAO hack on Ethereum. Yeah. What else, guys? Anything important you guys want to talk about? Big questions? Suggestions? Anything at all? Really? I like the idea of showcasing developers' products. Yeah, that seems like that's the favorite right now. And that, that could be, I could do that. And the problem again is that Saturday mornings are really awkward time for a lot of people. Even like, it's Saturday morning here, but in other places it may be Saturday evening or Saturday night, or the middle of the afternoon tomorrow. But so regardless of where people are, it seems like right now is a really awkward time to come on the stream. But I do wonder if maybe that would be different in talking like directly to developers, because it will be people who want exposure to the Pulse Hex community. So maybe they'll be willing to make concessions. We'll see. Did I get new shampoo? Not yet, Crypto Orange. I'm going with Hex Nurse on Monday to Cosmo Prof, which is where you get your professional styling products. And so we're gonna go there, and I'm gonna get some shampoo and conditioner then. I'll report back. Thoughts on Brock Pierce, and will he ever do an interview with Richard Hart? I don't think that he would say no. He's never said no. Like the first time that I approached Brock and asked him for an interview, I had like 4 followers on Twitter. And he, I did work for a crypto media outlet at the time. So he was like able to he could have verified my credentials if he had wanted to, but he didn't. He's never been difficult to contact. He's always been like really open and like not caring about the size of the person's following, which I have always thought that was cool about him. And would he ever do an interview with Richard Hart? He has done interviews with Richard Hart in the past. I can't speak for Brock, but I can't see why not. I guess, that would be a great question to ask him. Maybe I will at some point. I don't know if Richard wants that. Probably not. I don't know. This might be too left field, but I'd like to see a small segment about how to work with crypto or get into the door to get a crypto job. I haven't seen any talk about that. Okay, that's a great point, Manuel. So Manuel G, you can. There's an episode of Building Bridges that I did with a colleague of mine from LDA. His name is Aztec. Also like known as Crypto Secret Circle. And we talked about some strategies for getting into the door for various crypto jobs. If you're looking for more in-depth content on that, maybe watch that episode and let me know what you think. But one way is to like join an ambassador program. So several crypto projects have like ambassador programs where they take in community members and have a certain list of tasks that community members can complete like weekly or monthly. And then they compensate those members for the work that they do with tokens. Small amounts of tokens, but you can get in by participating in a few projects that are like that. So yeah, there's various examples, and then that's a way to get your foot in the door a lot of the time to more senior positions where you're working full time, maybe have a salary or an hourly wage or something like that. Another way would be to like build a social following and convince people that you're capable of doing the job that you say that you're capable of. So like having a strong following on social media is definitely something that employers look for, regardless of what it is that you're applying for. So, I mean, maybe if you're a developer, not so much, but potentially even then, because your social, your proof of social credit does matter. Like if there's a bunch of people who follow you because you're a great developer and you also are great at providing information about the product that you're developing, then that would be a huge plus. Like, but I mean, developers aren't hard up for jobs anyway. So yeah, there's a couple of ideas. I love that interview with Brock. Yeah, it was really fun. I've always enjoyed talking with him. Yeah, it was fun to do. I always like discussing. Yeah. Let's see, with new laws and taxation changes, what are my thoughts on relocating to crypto-friendly countries? Any favorites? So, I mean, a lot of people are choosing to immigrate to Puerto Rico because of because you can maintain your U.S. passport and citizenship and not have your tax liability for anything after you move there. So, so that's an option. And then also like Portugal is becoming really popular. Moving to the United Arab Emirates, Dubai most commonly is becoming very, very popular. Those are some places that I know that people are relocating to. So people are relocating to Panama, people are relocating to Mexico, really anywhere where there are lower taxes and lower liabilities. I don't really have any favorites. I'm not going to be relocating anywhere. And that's not because it's necessarily my choice. It's because I have a 10-year-old daughter and her dad lives here and he has a job here. And if I were to want to, I mean, I can't I can ask, but he's not going to uproot his whole life to move somewhere with me to minimize my tax liability. So, and I'm not going to leave her. So I'm stuck, but you can get out. All right, Scrooge McDougal. I have some friends who keep asking why the other market sites that list by market cap do not list Hex as a top crypto like Nomics does. Why is that? So I can't speak for why why they do things the way that they do. It does definitely seem to be like intentional gatekeeping. So CoinGecko actually doesn't report a market cap for Hex at all. They don't report the, circulating supply excluding the OA, and they don't report a smaller number, like excluding some portion of the OA's holdings. CoinMarketCap, at the very least, does report the market cap, but they report it as like 201 or 202, whatever it is. So at least they have the market cap, and if you go to view the data, you can see that it's out of order, but they don't count all of the circulating supply, or they don't count all of the OA's coins. They count a certain account, like I think Gunther wrote the accounting that they use to count, to suggest the market cap. There's some videos about it, but I don't want to get into depth about that. I mean, I think that it looks like intentional gatekeeping to me. Also, to keep in mind that CoinMarketCap is owned by Binance, and that Binance makes their money from volume on exchanges. So if people were to buy Hex and stake it instead of, trading, and that's what a lot of people do. A lot of people who are into Hex used to be traders and, got wrecked and decided that they didn't want to trade anymore, and that's why they got into Hex. So all I can really say is that if more people were buying Hex and staking it, that would have a negative impact on Binance's revenue. So I don't know if that's the reason, but it could be. Do I see a split coming in the Hex Pulse community? Hex folks seem set on Hex. Yeah, so I said a few weeks ago on an episode of XO Joe's show, he's also known as Joe Hexotic, that I thought that Hex Pulse was coming to a juncture, and that with the introduction of more projects and more tokens accepted in the ecosystem, that at some point, someone, more than one person, who is like considered a trusted Hexican will probably promote something that other people either view as a scam, or ends up being a scam, or ends up costing people Hex, or costing people Pulse, or costing people Bitcoin, or whatever. And that will be important juncture in the community. And I stand by that. So I think that there are some things that we can be aware of going into it that will maybe not change that outcome. But if we're aware that people are going to do that, and like we accept that people are going to do that instead of ousting people for having different opinions, maybe that can change. I don't know. History rhymes, right? So we probably can't change it entirely. There are always going to be people who are not accepting of anything else. And, we just maybe have to just let those people be that way. I'm not sure. Stuck in Washington yourself, yeah. Pulsarians rule. I thought that we decided on Poseidons. Because Poseidon is the biggest position in Hex that anyone can have, and there's 0 Poseidons. But so Poseidons. I don't know. That's what I thought we chose. I'm open to whatever. Do you guys know what the individual units are going to be called yet? I think originally there was a poll with several different suggestions, and I voted on a joke suggestion, but I've since then come to realize that I think that it's important that the individual units, like the breakdown of, units of a pulse token are like units of a hex token are hearts. Units of Bitcoin are sats. So I think that units of pulse should be beats. And I know that there's some negative connotations with that, but I think that it makes the most sense. Heartbeat. Some hexagons won't let you talk about pulse. Yeah, it depends on where you are, right? So if you're in the Hex chat room, they don't really want you to talk about pulse. You're right. I've gotten into fights with people about that before. So you're right. That's weird to me. But, it kind of also makes sense if you want to keep the discussion in the Hex talk room and not getting into all of the intricacies for people who are maybe there because they want to learn about Hex but aren't interested in pulse, or are interested in both but want to focus and dive. I don't know. I know there are some people who won't let you talk about pulse, but I'm not one of them. So you're welcome here. Pulsars, maybe. Pulps, pulsees, pulsars, pulsarians. I don't know. These are the kinds of discussions that do go on in the Pulse Telegram chat room, though, and in the voice chat. So I think that, I don't know if these decisions are made and finalized yet. We'll see. Pulsars is cool. Yeah, Pulsars is cool. I like it. Let's see what sticks. Poseidons is funny, but it is kind of a long word, too. Poseidons, hexagons. I don't know, both 3. All right, so if you're just tuning in now, I want to remind everyone that on Wednesday night, I'm going to have Kurt Walker Jr. bills himself as Chief Bitcoin Historian on this show for the second time, and we're going to be talking about Bitcoin history. I vote beats for individual units. Yeah, I agree. There was pulses, strokes was one of the options. I thought that was the most ridiculous, so I voted for it. But then shortly after realized that it was probably important that we have a real discussion about what the units should be. We'll see. Okay, so suggestions for what I should do on the show. I threw out a couple of ideas covering crypto news, and then also covering projects that are developing on Pulse in a really egalitarian way, and that seems to be what most people voted for. But we haven't it's not an official vote. It's not going to happen next week or anything. It was just an idea for what I might do that people would find value in, to potentially tune in live on Saturday mornings or watch the restream. Like I said, this is a weird time to have a stream and have a guest come on, just because people do have lives, and you have to respect that people have lives. Even I have a life sometimes, occasionally. Thank you, Crypto Orange. All right, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up because it's we're coming up on 40 minutes and there's not very many people here, and we've kind of had a lot of this discussion. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Please smash the likes, hit subscribe if you haven't already. Tune in on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific time to watch me interview Kurt Wookert Jr. for the second time on this channel. And let me know in the comments what you think for content that I could do on Saturday mornings in the case that I don't have anyone on the stream, like stuff that I could have pre-prepared so that I'm not sitting here waiting for you. Okay? You guys are awesome. Have an awesome Saturday. See you soon.